Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ontario, Canada for the Capital City Bloodbath 2019 tournament. We are joined here with the Honest Wargamer co-jam with 40k Stat Center. I am Val Heffelfinger, and I am so very excited to bring you some amazing content today. What is Capital City Bloodbath, you ask? Well, this is a tournament that's been in existence for about 7 years, run by CanHammer and the team there, Darren and Christopher Haynes. It's the crown jewel of the Canadian Warhammer 40,000 competitive world. We've got 119 players going at it today. That's the largest Capital City Bloodbath to date. I think they improved their attendance by about 10%. Capital City Bloodbath is known for this beautiful venue that you see around me right now, as well as lunch served daily. A very nice catered affair. We've got some of the best players in the world out there. In fact, the best player of the world is lurking in the standings. Jim Vessel is stumbling his way between the tables right now. Hopefully he's at the right one. Beyond that, we've got some high pedigree talent from the Canadian ETC team, fresh off their 3-2-1 record in Novi Sad, Serbia. A lot of them somehow are here, which to me represents true Warhammer 40,000 degeneracy and dedication to this very silly but wonderful game. So, without further ado, I believe that probably kicks things. Oh no, actually I'm going to go over one more thing. Obviously the format right now is and will be for the remainder of the weekend ITC format. They're running stock missions. They used to be snowflakes, do all kinds of weird stuff. Not anymore, folks. You'll know what's going on. We have ITC missions 1 through 6. We have 4 rounds today. That's right, 4 rounds of Warhammer today. So we'll be absolutely insane in about 11 hours from now. So there's no funny stuff except for us. And I'll be back throughout the day with some great narratives from the players and things going out there, doing interviews and giving you updates from the tables that aren't this table. So now I'm going to kick it over to Rob and the Falcon.
Hello. Hello, welcome live. My name's Rob, and I'm joined by a famous man, the Falcon. Hello.
Well, I don't know if I'd call myself famous, but thank you for having me, Rob. This is going to be quite the wicked affair.
I'm very excited to have you here, I won't lie. I'm excited to be here. I'm a little bit nervous.
Oh, listen, I've got a mad erection right now looking at all these people playing Warhammer. You might call it a nervous erection, but yeah, no, I'm super excited.
Me too. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you very much for being on the stream, and also a massive thank you to Val. I'm very excited. And also a big shout out to the CanHammer guys. That's right, they've been nothing but lovely, especially Darren, who's been driving us around and setting up a wonderful event. So I'm just excited to see some 40k though at this stage.
Oh man, the table's already started, and it looks like there's some exciting games happening directly
so
in front of us.
I reckon we can talk to us later. We can introduce ourselves.
For sure.
But before we do, we'll introduce you a tiny bit. We'll say that you're the man that does the 40k Stats show and also 40kstats.com. Am I right?
You're correct. Yeah, me and Val and I, we run 40k Stat Center, the competitive Warhammer 40k podcast where we go over every event that happens worldwide whenever we can. And yeah, I do also run 40kstats.com.
So you're going to be our list machine.
Yeah, I'm going to be the color guy. That's going to be the goal here. Try to provide you guys with excellent data on exactly what every list is trying to do and how they've been performing in the meta.
And everyone, as always, I'll be doing jokes which you don't like, derailing the chat, and being as excited as I can be. I've already had a Tim Hortons, so I feel ready to rock.
Well, as you can see, I'm talking at about 100 miles a minute, so I've definitely had my share of caffeine as well.
I want to say hello to everyone on the Twitch chat, all of you there. Thank you so much for joining us. Well excited for this 2 days of coverage, so stay with us for the whole day. Share it, let people know. It's going to be the best 40k coverage you see this weekend and in all of history. That's correct, because the Falcon's here. That's why.
Oh, you got it.
That's
right?
why. But with no more further ado, we should go to the tabletop and start to look at this game, because
let's take a good look.
We've got already a very exciting game on the cards. We have Orcs versus Chaos Space Marines. We're going to go through the list. We're going to do some talk. Don't forget, we've got Scrivo bringing you all the hot goss. If you want to leave some information there with him in the Twitch chat, please do. So the game has already begun. We are going to talk about the list in a moment. But as you can see, the Orcs are on the left and Chaos Space Marines are on the right top. So you can see the deployment map as it was on the left of the screen. And you can see that Dunster is running his Chaos Space Marines and Caleb is running Orcs. So what about the lists? Falcon.
Sure, let's bring up the list real quick. So Caleb here is running I wouldn't call it a standard orc list. He's running freebooters, pure freebooters, which has become a pretty competitive alternate list in the meta. He's got a Gorkanaut, 2 Dakajets, a Wasbomb Blastojet, Big Mech with that super shock attack gun and that Dreadwog detachment, a bunch of Gretchen as always, 10 Mega Knobs, 5 Smasher Guns, 3 Tractor Cannons, and Knob with the Wog Banner. Really, it's a couple weird boys. It's a very good list. It does exactly what he wants it to do, which is shoot things off the board.
Yeah, we're gonna get the opportunity to look at those orcs in closer detail because they are beautiful.
They are gorgeous.
I am very excited. So the threats from the orc army very much look like it. You told me it was going to be the Mega Knobs. You said this is going to be a big deal.
The Mega Knobs are a big deal in this list because it's his counterpunch. Usually orcs are well known for their close combat, but Caleb's running 0 boys in this list. So he's relying on the Mega Knobs as a kind of either a backfield bully unit, because you can see here the Chaos Marine player is being super aggressive, so he's left all this area in his back where something can get deep struck. I believe he has a unit of Havocs up there. But if he can fit those Mega Knobs in, that's going to be a bad situation. Otherwise, because Caleb's playing so aggressive, sorry, not Caleb, Dunster's being so aggressive, dropping a couple Mega Knobs in this area to come in and countercharge all of these arseholes that are taking the middle of the board, it's all something that he can do.
Did you just describe Chaos Space Marines as arseholes?
Oh, 100%, because that's exactly what they are.
I feel like Chaos Space Marines versus orcs is very much arseholes versus dickheads in a giant mano-a-mano rumble in the middle.
It's exactly what I'd expect from like a normal football match. So, and your football, not mine.
Oh, okay. do you guys not do anything terrible in your football matches?
Oh no, we don't have any hooligans when it comes to the Toronto FC, as far as I know. But
okay, all right. Well, I've always rated Ottawa's football team. We're back. You can hear us again.
Oh,
is
excellent.
that right?
Because we were just swearing up a storm at Scribble here for wearing his mom jeans and ruining this event for us.
We said some terrible things about him, but that's because he had his 8 beers last night, which is a Scrivo standard.
Yep.
So we were talking about the units. Specifically, we were talking about the mech guns.
The mech guns, yeah.
And I was saying that they do, that I used to run a lot of them, and they have some pretty devastating fire, but they only generally tend to hit around this area.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't necessarily get into the backfield, which is why I'm assuming he's got the Mega Knobs to do his deep field striking,
yep,
as you talked about.
Another big thing here, the Gorkanaut, which I believe is right here. Caleb put all of his characters in the Gorkanaut to start this game, which actually ended up being a very good move for him. Originally, it was really just to lower his drops. But what we haven't mentioned, as the game has already started, is that the Chaos Space Marine player seized on Caleb. So Caleb actually deployed thinking that he might be going first.
There was a big seize.
And there was a big seize.
Yeah, it happened, and it was a big deal. It was very exciting, and they were excited too. Caleb seemed like a good sport, and so did Dunster. And they seemed to know what was... They had a nice old cheer.
Yeah.
Round one, do you think either of these two players think that they're in it to win it? Is that their aim, or they're here for a laugh?
I would say that everyone is here for a laugh when you put it all down to brass tacks. But I think Caleb thinks he has a chance. I'd like to think that the freebooters have a chance to do well. So
another unit that we can see on the board there is the Gorkanaut.
Yes,
the Gorkanaut.
Look
Not necessarily the
gorgeous
most
that is.
competitive choice.
No, but in these freebooters lists, it can do a lot of work once it gets that +1 to hit. you could theoretically deep strike it, but obviously he didn't. Yeah, no. Well, and Rob just destroyed the entire setup through his
Apologies,
microphone.
everyone. Apologies.
He's absolutely enraged that I said the Gorkanaut could be competitive.
You think it can be? What? Like, explain to me why.
Well, it's mostly because that +1 to hit really ups its damage potential in a freebooters list. That's really all there is to it.
Okay, that's it.
If you talk to someone like Ben Jurek, who's been very successful with freebooters, he loves the Gorkanaut because it soaks up so much fire, and people don't expect it to survive as well as it does.
Okay, well, there's my favorite unit in the game. You can see here the old Wazbomb Blaster Jet with its 5+ invulnerable save against shooting being given out around because there's a KFF right here.
Yep.
So those Dakar Jets now have a 5+ invulnerable save, as do, I assume, most of these units. But just below them is also another... there is a Big Mech somewhere in there, I think.
The Big Mech is inside the Gorkanaut.
Oh, he's inside the Gorkanaut?
Yes.
Okay. What, do you think that's a good decision? Is that normal?
Well...
Is that leaving the mech guns without an invulnerable save?
Yeah, no, I think it was an excellent choice, especially because it lowers his drops, so it gives him a better chance at going first in this matchup. Unfortunately for the Seas, that didn't happen. But the other big thing it does is it does offer him a little bit of protection from this extremely aggressive Chaos list.
Yes. So how does this Chaos list work on the tabletop?
So this Chaos list, it's a Alpha Legion list with a ton of bodies. And so his goal is going to be, he's going to shove everybody up, try to get within bolter fire range. He has something like 10 autocannons in the list. So he's got a lot of shooting, which in a more boys-centric orc list would do amazingly well. And he has got a Leviathan Dreadnought, a Daredeo Dreadnought, a Mauler Fiend, a Defiler, and a Lord Discordant. So the Mauler Fiend and the Lord Discordant, they're going to be right up in Caleb's face as soon as possible. He has the Soulforged Specialist Attachment, which allows his Lord Discordant to both advance and charge. And with a Sorcerer, he can warp time that sucker up as soon as he feels he's going to be safe and just start ripping apart that front line.
So he's based on this side of the field, and
yes.
I know obviously with the warp time he'll still be fast. When I went over to check on the players, they did say that both this building here that you can see, also this building, and this building here are impassable. So the Lord Discordant's going to have to make a choice. Is he going to go through here, in which case he can get counterpunch from the Mega Knobs,
yep.
or is he going to come through the middle? But at the minute, if he tries to go through the middle, obviously there's a bunch of his own units in the way.
For sure. And he did warp time this unit up here to try and get more aggressive into those grots. Not sure if it was the proper choice. I believe it is, because my guess is next turn he's going to charge. Well, he's already done it. He's going to charge these guys in, create a barrier for his Lord Discordant to run through.
So he's going to run over his own Marines.
Yes,
that's so like a Lord of Chaos. Okay, a little cheeky, inspiring champion in there, hoping that the Lord Discordant fails so he can take over his mantle and crown.
For sure.
But we'll see about that. I also don't really ever understand how a Chaos Marine is ever loyal enough to get inside of a Dreadnought. But that's a conversation about narrative for another day.
Well, we can have that conversation some other time. But from what I understand, it's not a pleasant experience for the Chaos Space Marine. So.
No, it's. I don't think they have many pleasant experiences.
No, and Slaanesh guys, the Emperor's Children, I believe that's all they do is pleasant experiences.
The pre-game move with the stratagem has taken those Marines up, as you said. Then, because of the Khorne banner, the ability to re-roll the charges here has meant that those Chaos Marines have ended up getting into combat.
Yeah, so he pre-game moved, and then I believe he warped time to get a second move. And then now he's been able to get the charge. So
okay. And what do you think his goal is? Like, what's he intending to achieve?
Well, what he really wants to do is, my guess, tie up these smasher guns and tractor cannons, because the smasher guns can do a lot of work against Marines. They put out enough shots at a strength 5.
It's the AP, which is what I particularly like about them.
Yes, and they put out quite a bit of shots. So if he wants to tie those things up and get rid of them as soon as possible, so they're not dropping bombs.
Well, the smasher guns are the variable strength, so you roll 2d6.
Yes.
So average is 7. But either way, you're normally wounding the Marines on. Well, you're effectively wounding them on faux threes.
Yes.
So often you're getting it through, and then they're not getting a save most of the time.
Exactly.
If they're doing anything. We should be able to also get the, because currently Dunster is active, so we should be able to get his overlay sorted. So you guys should see on the UI there what's important, and something we'll come to later will be the secondaries that both the players, because in ITC format, secondaries are important. How important are they, Falcon?
Well,
how important?
So this is what I'll tell you. As this game progresses, secondaries actually secondaries separate the good players from like the mediocre players in this game in the ITC format.
Okay, good.
Being able to select the proper secondaries in a game make a big difference, because that's your 12 points. The kill more, hold more, anybody can really get their minds around that. But to properly look at an opponent's list, look at your own list, and then make a balanced choice for secondaries is really key to that kind of like middle to upper tier level of play. When you look at two very high skill players that play a lot of games, secondaries almost don't come into the picture. It's like an expected. Both of them are going to get 11 or 12, right? And so it's very interesting.
So if you guys are looking at the UI here, so like the overlay, as you can see, Dunster, it's his turn, which is why we can see what secondaries he has active. So he's got Gangbuster, we'll talk about that later, Big Game Hunter and Recon. And you can see, if you're new to 40k and you don't exactly know how ITC scoring work, I mean, obviously, where have you been? That's the big question.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Get with the freaking
But
program.
just in case you want to go through the tutorial, over here you have, so on the left-hand side of the screen, you have kill more and hold more. Now you can score per turn, you can score 0 to 2 points, because you can score a point for every time you hold an objective, which are those mats that you can see on the tabletop. There's thank you very much, Falcon. And then you also get a point every time you kill a unit of any sort. So that will just be whatever you see. But you also get a bonus point at the end of each battle round if you've held the most and if you've killed the most. So potentially you can get 4 in a turn in conjunction with the bonus point that you can get for each mission.
Yes.
I say that with bunny ears, FYI, mission.
Wanker.
The bonus point. And then you get potentially 4 max points for your secondary. So that's how scoring works. Now, you guys might be like, shut up, Rob, I know that, but some people won't.
Yeah, there's going to be listeners here right now that are like, what is even happening? I've been drinking for 16 hours. Where am I right now?
So, yeah. So they've already killed. So Dunster's already on the board with his points as well. He's already held an objective and killed a unit this turn.
Yes.
Which I think is good.
Yep. So it looks like Dunster killed at least one, if not more, of the units of Grots that were screening here, and now he started to pile in to the smasher guns. He has, trying to lock them into combat, I assume, so that they're not going to shoot out. So you can see here, Caleb's done a pretty good job of screening. It looks like, oh no, it does look like one of the Marines was able to get in on this side on that gun. And he's definitely tagged this sucker right here, that tractor cannon.
Yes, he definitely has. Locked them in. So that means that they're not going to be able to fight back. Although Mechons weirdly have a large amount of attacks. They're not going to do anything to Marines, obviously.
No, obviously not.
Obviously not. But, you know, it's always worth noting that I'm sure they're going to swing and make a go of it.
Yeah, for sure.
But do you think there's enough output here? Because the Mega Knobs were at this side of the building, if I'm looking at it right. Or that, no, I think they're here, actually. There you can see them. So you've got the Mega Knobs here. Oh, no. The Mega Knobs on this side, and they potentially going to charge in and deal with that. But maybe this is what he wants, so the Lord Discordant that's just off screen can countercharge and punch in.
I think that's exactly what James wants to happen. He wants to tie all these suckers up. Now, these are his tractor cannons, I believe, because they got the little green nibbles and or nubbins. But what James is hoping is that he will hit these guys, not kill them. The CSM player doesn't want them dead because he wants to hold them in combat. It's already Caleb's turn, so we're seeing him try to back out. He didn't manage to wrap this guy, but he obviously didn't wrap either one. So that's unfortunate for James. But yeah, he's really hoping that James comes in, attacks here.
Dunster?
James is hoping that Caleb does.
Oh.
So that his Lord Discordant and Mauler Fiend can come up and hit the Mega Knobs first and take them out. That's his hope. Because if he no longer has any Mega Knobs, the Mauler Fiend and the Soulforge, Lord Discordant can really rip in. So,
yeah. I'm very excited. I haven't actually seen the Lord Discordant in the field. I haven't seen him doing his job.
Well, it's quite terrifying. Not as terrifying against orcs as against Imperium, but it's pretty friggin' messy. A Lord Discordant, especially a Flawless Host one, which this one isn't, it's Alpha Legion, it can put out something like 48 attacks against Imperium models.
48 attacks?
With explosions, and it will just wipe out whatever it wants.
That is devastating.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see that in action. Do you think he's going to go into the Mega Knobs, or do you think he's going to wait? Does he want to get into the backfield?
It really depends on what Caleb's thinking here. If Caleb does move up, which I'm actually, because he wasn't able to get any proper reps, I don't think Caleb will fall for the trap. He's just going to shoot them off the board.
Okay, well, more on that as we get started. Thank you for joining us for the start. Falcon, you've already done incredible. I'm excited. Let's go over and see what Val has got to say as he talks to one of the TOs here at the Capital City Bloodbath.
Kaka!
All right, I assume that I am on screen at this point. I'm joined now with Logan. Now, Logan might be a familiar face to some of you guys who have followed Canadian Warhammer for a long time. He's formerly 1+ Armor.
Yeah, a long time ago.
And then also, for a while, he was with CanHammer. And things kind of went sideways with Logan, I think, and Warhammer. And so I'm just curious, what brings you back to Capital City Bloodbath? Because you're not playing much anymore.
Yeah, I'm not playing a lot. I'll grab this from you so you don't have to shove it in my face. Now, I got to say, I don't have the stun of shades, so either way, I'm on the receiving end of this conversation. All right, so what brought me back? So I got to say, as much as I don't play the game anymore, 8th edition has 40k in an absolutely fantastic spot right now. The community's grown by leaps and bounds, especially since 7th. Everyone seems to have a much better time. I'll tell you this, TOing it is a breeze. We were just chatting about this off air. TOing it is a very different experience from some of the older editions, especially 6th and 7th. But at the end of the day, running this event's a lot of fun. There's a great turnout of people. We get everyone from super hardcore players, like we got Jim Vessel here. We got, Steve. We got a bunch of other big names that have shown up, which is a good time. And then we have people who this is their first major event, first tournament ever. So we get all sorts of spread. So it's great to introduce people to the hobby. Tons of beautifully painted armies, friendly faces.
Well, it's love to see your beautifully painted face here at the Capital City Bloodbath every year. So as someone who has been in it since day one,
Yep.
So what's it been like to see it grow? Because there are a lot of years where year over year wasn't really moving. It was staying in that 40, 50 range or whatever it was. So what's it like to look behind us now and have a beautiful 120-player tournament?
It's huge. So, yeah, we had a couple interesting years. So we started off, I was sort of tangentially part of it for year one. We started off as a Warhammer Fantasy GT, and we had about 40 players. And then Age of Sigmar happened about 6 weeks later, so that was a good time. And then we decided to move over to 40k for the next year, and Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar that year got 8 players. 40k got, I think we were in 30-ish or so. So as you said, the event didn't really grow. And I think that was just sort of growing pains. Year after that, we had a significant uptick in 40k. I think we had 58, 59 players.
Was that the year I started podcasting?
Probably about then. Yeah, this is all thanks to you. All thanks to you. Anyway, yeah, so we went out to about 60 players, but AOS was still in its infancy, so that was when we were trying to figure out balancing with wounds, stuff like that. But 40k started to take off, and then it's just sort of grown from there. So we had 2 or 3 rocky years. It's usually just edition changes that really bite us, but definitely over the past 3 years, it's just exploded. And on the CanHammer side, Darren's done a fantastic job hyping it up. I mean, he is the social media master as far as we're concerned. So maybe not as good as this guy, but
I just get around.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a good time. Yeah, so it's been growing really well. We're really happy with it. Like I said earlier, that's what keeps me coming back to this. It's a really fun event to run, and at this point, we've got it not down to a science necessarily, but we like to think we have a decent idea what we're doing with it.
Wonderful. Well, as I've always call it when I'm on the internet talking about this wonderful game, this is the crown jewel of Canadian competitive 40k, and I really thank you for all the dedication to it. You don't even play that. You don't care about Warhammer anymore, and you're still here, and that tells you about TOs. They're insane and gluttons for punishment. So thank you very much for coming, Logan. I'm just going to quickly go through a few things that I'm following as I'm wandering around this tournament. So I see some great pairings. One is Tori Pete versus Alex Stewart. These are members of my personal team, Cash Money Hammer, one-on-one, mano-a-mano. I'm going to be curious to see who comes out there. Of course, who Jim Vessel is playing. And then Sparks versus Sebastian Marango I'll be looking at. Dustin Henshaw, of course, is here. I'll be checking in on his table. Former Big Fish, Little Pond, top Canadian player, Dan Platt is in the house today. He's been coming out again to various tournaments around the local area. I'm very curious to see how he does today. And then finally, we've got Josh Death versus Canadian podcaster Josh Curtis, which will probably already be over, and I'll bring them over maybe for an interview soon enough. So with that all said, I'm going to kick it over to the guys at the booth.
Here we are. I'm so excited to be back.
I'm super excited to be back.
I've relaxed a little bit from the start of the show.
Oh, yeah. You were obviously a little jittery there. You were touching my leg. It was a little awkward, but I mean, I liked it.
But then you cuddled me because you are a phenomenal cuddler.
I'm essentially a bear in every way, shape, and form that you can think
So,
of.
hello, Twitch chat. Welcome to the Capital City Bloodbath. Thank you very much for joining us. As you can see on the tabletop, we've got Orcs versus Chaos Space Marines. The Orcs army is incredible. Caleb has done his country proud, as well as himself proud.
Absolutely gorgeous. Caleb has painted a number of the armies for some of our top players in Canada, and just such a wicked job.
He's also a lovely man.
Yes, he is. He's beautiful. His Cash Money Hammer shirt is the tightest shirt I've ever seen on a person in my life, and I mean in a beautiful sense. One thing that we cannot see because it is hiding is James's Dark Apostle. And that is a gorgeous model that has been gorgeously painted. And he's hiding in a little box up here because he's scared to death of
And is it useful in the game?
Not in this one because he hit him. But in most games, he would be just as aggressive as the rest of his army and bring it up. Unfortunately, though, he's left him hiding behind this unit of Havocs to, I guess, provide them with some kind of protection. My guess is an extra -1 to hit.
Some of the threats that you can see in the Chaos Marine army, in my opinion, is that unit of Havocs. There are actually 4x5 autocannon squads rocking around. Dangerous, right?
Extremely dangerous. It's very unique for Chaos Space Marines to run that many, but no, it can do a lot of work, especially against Marine-based armies. Autocannons love hitting power armor, but it'll do a lot of work to a bunch of boys. It'll do a lot of work to Grots. In fact, it did round 1. We saw Caleb lost 30 Grots in the opening salvo, as well as 1 smash-a-gun and a tractor cannon. But Caleb has really brought his flyers out to play, as you guys can see. They've swung out all the way over here.
You can't miss them.
No, obviously not.
Yeah,
look at this bright
death.
yellow.
You cannot miss them.
Now, one thing James did that was a bit of a mistake was he put two of his characters here and here. And Caleb has spent a CP to give +1 to hit against any model that has the fly keyword. James's Chain Lord, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's a Chaos Lord with the Teeth of Gorus Vex. It basically gives him 1 billion attacks. He can possibly kill an entire small nation of people. He left him out a little bit in the open on this objective. And Caleb brought these flyers up and just is going to wipe him out and possibly the sorcerer that was right here. Unfortunate bit of play there by James not putting any kind of screen there. I don't think he realized the power of these flyers and their capability to snipe out characters. So we'll see how that plays out. Hopefully James is able to make some saves, but it's a ton of shots coming out of those Daka Jets and that Wazbomb Blaster.
The Daka Jets, really, they were explained out to me, and it is just like a bunch of damage.
Well, it's 18 shots that are going to be hitting on 3s if you use the +1 with freebooters bonuses. It's gonna do a number on.
And obviously the Orc flyers for years, well not for years, but for in recent times, they've been doing a lot of move blocking. In fact, actually, no, I'm joking. They're not. They haven't. The Eldar flyers. I much prefer seeing Orc flyers. Now, obviously, there's a lot of damage coming out of the Orc flyers. It's like pretty infantry clearing flyers.
Yes, for sure.
The impactful damage that we might see might be coming out of those mech guns. I'm a huge fan. I'd like to go and do a little review on the mech guns if that's okay.
Yeah, you go to town, bud.
So we're going to go and look at them. No, you just.
This is us.
There we go, and we're back with the audio.
TV show. Anyway.
Guys, hi. So there we go. So the thing we were talking about were the mech guns. And they're beautiful, incredibly gorgeous, and they've got a really interesting stat line. They've got 6 wounds apiece.
Yep.
A 5-up save. If they've got a KFF nearby, they're going to have a 5-up invulnerable save. I love them. And you've got the smasher guns and the tractor cannons, both with 48-inch range, so pretty big threat.
Yep.
Heavy D3, strength, you roll 2d6. So as you can see here, you roll 2d6, and then it's -4 doing d6 damage apiece. So and they're hitting on 4s.
Yeah.
Orc shooting hitting on 4s with Daka.
Yep, it's going to do a number. And he's got a number of really good targets with those. I mean, Marines in general, they're going to pick them up. But that Leviathan Dreadnought and the Deredeo that James was running, absolutely terrifying models if they start shooting those autocannons off, applying the negative leadership penalties on units.
So do you think those are going to be the targets?
I would think that, yes, he's going to want to put some shots into at least the Leviathan. The Deredeo is a little bit easier to kill. We're going to see. He's got them in the middle of the board, so they're a perfect target for him. But he also has to clear out all of those Marines that are directly in his face.
Yeah, he is going to have to. There's a lot of them as well.
Yes, there's a good 30 Marines just standing in front of him.
What do you think is going to be his counterpunch with that? Is it going to be those Mega Knobs?
Yeah, so I managed to step over to the table there while Val was having his little chat with Logan. And, yeah, he has moved the Mega Knobs out of cover. And I believe he will be trying to clear out a number of those Marines with them. We'll see how that works for him, because that Lord Discordant is primed and ready to go, as well as the Mauler Fiend right up here.
So there we go. There's the tabletop again, as you can see.
So Caleb has charged one of the units with the Mega Knobs just now. Oh, never mind. We've been told that the terrain has actually blocked them from being able to be charged. So he had to actually go back on that attempt.
So these Mega Knobs here could not charge because of the terrain?
Yes, because of the terrain and models. He actually kind of locked himself in. He wasn't able to make the counter charge.
Yes, yeah. They okay.
And that's huge.
That's huge because they're going to be out in the field taking another round of combat.
Yep.
That's shooting, sorry.
Now, luckily, Mega Knobs, they do have that 2-up armor. And autocannons, the Hellforged variant, the Butcher Cannons, they are only AP -1. They are 2 damage apiece, though. So if he gets a few through, every Mega Knob counts in this game. So
I think so, because they're his big unit, right?
They're his scary bully. They're what's going to protect him from all this terrifying stuff, particularly these 2 models, maybe the Defiler, from coming in and just mulching everything in his backfield.
So we've seen that Caleb's already managed to kill a unit, obviously, but then also holding an objective needs to be something he's going to achieve. But he's going to do that here, no problem.
For sure.
So he's going to get 2 of his points. At some point, we're going to look at the secondaries and get those sorted, John, when we can. And talk about Big Game Hunter, Recon, and Butcher's Bill. But I'm pretty certain you could just talk off those off the top of your head.
Oh, no. I think we need to see the overlay. Not because I can't do it, but because it's beautiful.
Okay. Well, I think John's going to take a moment to do that. But
yeah, that's fine. While we're waiting, Caleb is trying to take out that Lord Discordant. That appears to be his priority shooting. He's about to spend some CP here. He's been throwing the smasher guns into it, has done a few wounds. That Lord Discordant has 12 wounds that he has to get through with a 2-up save, 5-up invulnerable. So it's not easy business. He's also got a -1 because it's Alpha Legion to hit. So
and this is the unit we're talking about here.
Yeah, so we're sitting on, that guy's hitting on 5s. Oh, apparently it's the Mauler Fiend. I was incorrect.
He's shooting out the Mauler Fiend
Yeah.
here. Okay, good.
Oh, that's the Defiler. This guy right here,
Oh.
Brother Bill. That's what he's shooting at. I'm not sure if that's the right target because the Lord Discordant is so terrifying, but you know what? Whatever's out in the open, it is an easier save to get through with those guns because
and it's also clearing it out, right?
Yeah, it's getting rid of it.
It's clearing it out, and maybe he wants to put the Mega Knobs in there later because or have them. If the Discordant comes over and hits in here, the guns are going to be able to punch into him quite nicely.
Yeah.
So it's not a fair trade, but it's a good trade.
Yes, for sure.
And he can whittle everything out away before he moves forward.
And really, I would sacrifice a Smasher Gun for a Lord Discordant. It's a 30-point model for
it's a hero full of 5 grot heroes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
a
designed
31
to
point
murder.
grot hero model versus the 160 or whatever that a Lord
10,000-year-old lord.
Yeah,
Atop a mechanical steed.
Built of hate.
Okay, so the secondaries that Caleb has to achieve. So in ITC format, there you go. You can see those. He has to do Gangbusters, Big Game Hunter, and the Reaper. So you choose what you're going to do at the start of each game.
Exactly. You have to pick your secondaries based off of what you and your opponent have for armies. You get to pick 3, and that's how you're going to score your extra points. So Caleb here chose Gangbusters, which...
Yes.
will Gangbusters here, which will every 6 wounds that he inflicts on a model that has multi-wounds, composed entirely models with 3 or more, is going to score a point. So my guess is he's trying to get those points off of the Mauler Fiend, the Defiler, and
okay. We're gonna cut back to the game because apparently those are wrong. That's fine. That's early doors.
What happened here?
No, we're just testing you to see if you knew, and you did. You passed the test.
So
welcome to the Honest Wargamer.
Because I'm going to be honest, I was trying to figure out why he took Big Game Hunter as I was talking, so I'm glad they're incorrect. Caleb is obviously knows what he's doing. So
yeah, Twitch chat, thanks for joining us, by the way. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, on Facebook, thanks for joining us. We can't see the chat, so join us on Twitch, where we'll take any questions that you may have.
We won't answer them, but we will take them.
Yeah, we're in the shooting phase for Caleb.
Yes.
And we've seen him, as we've talked about, shooting into the Mauler Fiend, and I think he's taken 3 wounds so far, out of a total of 14.
Yes.
So there's 11 left on that Mauler Fiend, and whether or not he's going to go down. The Smasher Guns, this is the issue with the Smasher Guns for me, is the damage is like excellent, but it's very, very, it's got high variance, and it can be very spiky or just nothing.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. We were just informed that this is actually counting down, so he only has 2 wounds remaining.
2 wounds left?
Yes, so 12 wounds have already been put on that Mauler Fiend.
Okay, and I'm sure we're seeing more shots fired in here. So taking him out is going to be pretty good, I think, and dealing with one of the major threats on the board. But I assume what he hasn't been doing is shooting at this Leviathan because he hasn't been able to get at the Leviathan. Yeah,
this line of sight blocker is really going to help that Leviathan. It's really limiting his options to shoot at it. And a Leviathan's got a 2-up armor, 4-up invuln. It's not easy to take out. He really is better off trying to pick off, say, the Mauler Fiend, the Defiler, even the Lord Discordant because it has a 5-up invuln instead.
But then you're just going to leave a half-dead, desecrated carcass inside of a walking tank, just mowing down your lines.
I mean, it's not a good choice, but I don't think he has a lot of good choices when it comes to what's he got to kill, because like those are 4 big, scary baboos right there. So
they're the threats.
They are the threats in this list. The
autocannons,
because he doesn't run a lot of boys, I'm not sure what the autocannons are going to do because they're not getting a lot of range on things.
The 4x5 autocannon squads to me seem like a very good choice because I think they're going to kick out some consistent damage.
Yes.
They're not easy to clear. I mean, if you put them in cover, they're going to have a pretty good save. That's good. The range isn't excellent, but it's still fine.
Yeah,
it's still fine. And you're going to have to deal, as you've said, with the 4 baboos.
The 4 baboos.
The 4 baboos.
That's a technical term in Warhammer, everyone.
4 baboos. I think we've heard some goss from the tabletop. I'm not sure what that is. I think it's whether or not something has exploded.
Oh, look, sounds
We're
very
going to
exciting.
find out from the table boss what's happened on the table there. Okay, so the shock attack gun was shooting there. So this is the relic shock attack gun that he would have spent a ton of CPs on.
Yes. So yes, the shock attack gun shot into the Mauler Fiend to try and take it out. Got 5 shots. Got 6 shots. Did 5 wounds to the Mauler Fiend. Mauler Fiend made 4 of the 5 up invulns, and then managed to Caleb only rolled a damage of 1, re-rolled it into another 1. So that Mauler Fiend is sitting on 1 wound now. Was not able to take it out. So Caleb is now having to kind of overkill it now to try and remove it from the board. So we're watching some more dice rolling going on here. See what happens. See if he manages to finish the sucker off. There's a bit of disappointment in his eyes. That was a lot of 1s and 2s on the table.
Would you say it was a shockingly bad?
It was a shockingly bad shock attack gun shot. Rob, Thank you so much for being
Does
here.
he feel attacked?
I thought I was the dad. Apparently I'm wrong.
Have you not listened to my commentary before?
Oh no, I've 100% listened. But usually I turn the volume down after a while.
That's the fairest way to do it. I'm sure that's what everyone at home's doing now. Now that they can see all the fancy models on the board. I've got to tell you, I'm a huge Orc fan, so I'm very much enjoying looking at this army fight.
I really am too. As someone that looks at every list that goes to every event, Orc lists are always my favorite, although they have been getting a bit stale. So Caleb's list here, the freebooter style, it just warms my heart to see something that isn't like the cookie cutter that I've come to see as like the norm from Orcs. Those Bad Moons, those Evil Suns, the Death Skulls with the shock attack guns.
Honestly, I am very shocked that the Megadobs are in the list, but you've said that they're good. Caleb seems very confident that they're good, so I'm excited to see them actually do their job.
Yes, I really enjoy Mega Knobs. They do have a place. They're not in every competitive list, of course, but there are several players, particularly in Australia. They're huge.
The Aussies are serious about having fun.
Yeah, and Liam Hackett loves his Mega Knobs. He used to run 30 when you could mob them up. Now he runs 20, I believe. It's just a scary proposition if they actually hit something.
So that's that unit that you can see right there that potentially going to do some counter-punching at some point, maybe.
That's the hope. Unfortunately, the early game, they've been unable to do anything because they got blocked out by his own models. But I think that's actually, like we said earlier, I think that's actually good for him. I don't think he should have charged those Marines. He's only going to be able to take out so many of them. So having them there, when this Lord Discordant comes up, because he's going to have to start getting aggressive if this Mauler Fiend dies, but I think it actually survived. I don't think he has any more shots.
He's not dead.
And he's going to heal a wound every turn. So
I mean, he will die the next turn.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Realistically.
Hopefully for Caleb. If it doesn't, then that's real bad news.
Do you think that the planes pose enough of a threat realistically on the tabletop that they're going to be something that's going to be dealt with? Because they're going to move around fairly unimpeded towards his backline. Don't forget there's also a Dorado right here that's going to potentially deal with them at some point.
And we also have the Havocs here. We have Havocs in the corner that we cannot see currently with this.
We're going to go to a top down so we can see those. And then,
So there's 10 to 15 Havocs in this back corner that are going to try, my guess would be, because that's probably the only thing that's going to be in range, they're going to lay into these planes. Now, they're going to have that native -1 to hit from being supersonic, and it's not going to be a super easy task to kill them all, but he'll probably wipe out 1 if he gets average shooting, possibly 2, depending on the saves.
Yeah, they are flimsy, but the 5-up invulnerable save is just going to really help them out.
Yeah.
And that's again here coming from a unit you won't have seen often, I don't think. And auto including my Orc list, the Wasbomb Blaster Jet.
Yeah.
And I like this because it's a mobile 5-up invulnerable save for your cheaper flyers, and the Decker Jets got arguably very competitive because of their points cost. So do you think there's a future Orc build with a bunch of flyers, or do you think that's too weak?
I don't think you run 6, but I think 3 is definitely something that you can pull off.
Pull it off?
Oh, yeah. No, I think you can pull off 3.
Okay, good. So there we are with the top down, so you can see it in a little bit minutiae and detail. The Havocs that we were previously talking about are here, and here. So there's potentially going to be a lot of fire coming from the next turn, because we're currently in the Orcs turn. So in the Chaos Space Marine turn, you're going to see a lot of output all pouring into those flyers.
Yeah, and that's a lot of autocannon shots. Now, something we should talk about that just happened. So we had mentioned earlier that the Mega Knobs weren't able to make the charge because they'd been blocked out by all of these models. Caleb went balls deep, charged in with his tanks, something we didn't expect.
What? Well, they're mech guns.
The mech guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Charged in with the mech guns. Charged in with his characters. Made just enough space that the Mega Knobs could make a charge. He needed
Into
an 11.
this combat here.
He needed an 11. He got a 12. So the Mega Knobs are going to start smashing.
That's amazing. So we weren't expecting that. We thought they were going to be out here, opening the field, taking fire continuously. But he moved his own guns for the charge, showing just how dangerous the Canadian 40k players can be. They'll charge anything in.
They will charge anything.
They'll charge anything in.
So these guys,
Like an
unless something
angered
terrible
moose.
happens, unless something terrible happens, these guys are dead. This is going to be nothing. Hopefully Caleb at least leaves one so that he doesn't get shot like we were already describing. But this should be bad news for those guys.
And there you can see the dice app being used on the tabletop by Caleb. But while we find out what happens, let us know in the Twitch chat who you're rooting for. Are you rooting for the Chaos Space Marines combat here or the Mega Knobs? You want Orcs to win? Have you got a choice? Falcon?
I always want Orcs to win.
Okay.
Except when they're playing Custodes, then screw Orcs.
So do you play Orcs?
I do not, but I am told that I am an Orc.
Okay, well, me and John play Orcs, as does Val Heffelfinger. So that would make him the third best Orc player that I know out on this stream team. But we're going to go and talk to him now.
Oh, good.
As he's
Look
going to
at
do
him.
an interview live.
He is so handsome. I hope
he
you
is
guys bring up
gorgeous.
the fact that he is wearing the coolest sunglasses.
Hi, everyone. And you actually have to play 40k to be good at it. So I'm now joined here with Austin, who's actually from Texas, but currently lives in Sudbury, Ontario, which passes for Northern Ontario, unless you look at a map of Ontario. It's actually pretty south. So Austin here has the distinction of being matched round 1 with Jim Vessel. He runs one of my favorite meme lists. It's 2 Castellans and a Valiant. And, you know, comes and goes, I guess, with various things. Ran it at TGX tournament I ran a little while ago. So, Austin, why the double Castellan Valiant?
Well, in my opinion, the double Castellan Valiant is, I've always played them when the Codex came out. I've been running Knights since the first release of their Codex, and I've just kept going with it. I ran them with the Loyal 32. When they increased the point cost, I said just drop the guard, just run 3 Knights. Both games, or any game, is the quick way, I either win or I lose. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And I've played Jim first round last year at Capital City, played him first round at TGX, and I played him at first round. It's actually our anniversary of playing each other in 40K, and I've actually improved over the year. So, yeah, it was all in all, it was a great game.
Awesome. So, having played Jim last year, before he himself was an internet meme, what have you noticed in the evolution of Jim Vessel's game?
I've noticed he's a bit more strategic when he places his units. He takes a little bit more time to make sure everything's consolidating in properly. He's tweaked the list a little bit. When initially he played with the Dreadnought, he's taken that out now. He's put in the Slanesh Mirror. The Khorne Demon Prince has always been a staple. He's always just getting in there. He's did 25 wounds to the first night, about 30 to the next, and then 24 to the last one. So it works for him, and it's continued to work for him, obviously.
So you were also here last year at Capital City Bloodbath, maybe another year before that too. What is it that brings you back? What do you like about the event?
I like the community, coming out, meeting new people, right? It's a chance to play against people I don't usually play against. It's a chance to meet players from all over the country, Quebec, sometimes even the world, and just to see the paint jobs, the conversions, seeing the different outlooks and takes on the armies, that really keeps bringing me back. Pretty much to all the events. I mean, win or lose, I know we always say we all want to win, but it is meeting the people and making those connections that whenever you do go to a tournament, you meet up with people and you just continue moving on.
Can't agree with you more. Tournaments are a great way to meet hot young singles. So, Austin, I thank you for your time here. I'm just going to do a quick little recap, and good luck. One thing though, what army do you want to see across from you when you get your round 2 pairings?
Knights.
Wants to see some other Knights. Okay, we'll try and make that happen. Thank you very much, Austin. Okay, I'm going to take the whole frame up now. We're going to do a quick little rundown. We got JV up versus Austin. Obviously, went 3 turns before he was tabled. Sparks versus Sebastian Marengo. Jason Sparks almost has, he had a really good turn 1. Seb blamed his dice. Shocker. Then we have Dustin versus another Sebastian, and that's a GSC mirror. it actually started with no models on the table, which I think is kind of funny. And then we have Josh Death versus Josh Curtis. That one also started with a pretty strong first turn for Josh Death. Mr. Curtis is doing his best. I think he might be our next guest on the little sideline report here. Pamperine is basically in his second turn. All of his smasher guns are dead. And then finally, we got Dan Platt. He's playing Knights versus Admech. Looked like they're in about turn 1 or 2. Nothing too exciting happening there yet. So now I'm going to kick it over to two really handsome beards.
Thank you very much, Val. He is a great man.
He is. He's obviously the best interviewer that we have here. He is the only interviewer that we have here.
I mean, still being the best of one, that's how I feel as a stream team for doing coverage at events.
Exactly.
I'm the best of one.
Well, it's like a Highlander situation. There can only be one.
So welcome back. This is Rob and the Falcon doing the tabletop coverage. This is round 1, Capital City Bloodbath. 6 rounds that we're going to bring you of competitive 40k ITC at Canadia's. Is that how I've said that right?
Canada. That is how we pronounce it here.
Canadia's largest 40k event run by the CanHammer guys. Let me tell you, the venue's lovely and everyone is a treasure. That's been my experience of Canada so far.
And it's true across our nation. We really only have 3 bad people, and we take them to all events.
Will you take them with you? Okay. So if you've just joined us, what you've seen is Chaos Space Marines playing against Orcs. Both players have had a turn. So you've got... on the tabletop, so both Dunster and Caleb. Dunster's first turn, he moved up. If we go to a top-down, John, in the very first turn, what happened was there were some pre-game movements. We saw a big unit of 20 Chaos Space Marines. I mean, they're centuries old, forged in the fire of Chaos's might and love.
Yes,
yeah,
definitely love. That's what I would
covered
use.
in archaic power armor and infused with Chaos Spirit. They moved forward. They were warp-timed by a Psyker, so they had power invested to them from the warp. They moved here, and fucking what happened to them then?
Well, the 20 of them charged a unit, 2 units of grots, and a smasher gun and a tractor cannon. Killed them, which is good.
Yeah, only fitting and right.
And I mean, it's exactly what should have happened. But then they were kind of out in the open. He had there was a big thought that Caleb had really screwed up his deployment, and his mega knobs were stuck in this building and couldn't escape. But Caleb, being the master tactical genius that he was, said, screw that, charged everything he could into the big blob of 20 Marines, made just a big enough lane for the Mega Knobs to possibly get an 11-inch charge. He rolls a 12, 10 Mega Knobs hit that 20-man blob of Alpha Legion Studley Duds, and made a mess of them.
Swole men.
Yes, swole men got absolutely... stolen, their lives taken.
Was it something like 26 power claw attacks or 18 power claw attacks, something like that?
Well, let's see. If you take a 10 and multiply that by 4, you get 40. Now, he did have 3 Mega Knobs that couldn't get in. So he had, I believe it was 28 power claw attacks that he put into that unit.
Wow. At some point, we're going to go and look at those the profile of those Mega Knobs, because they need talking about,
they
realistically.
Do. Anyway. They ate them. They're all gone.
They are all gone. So that's what happened, and now we're moving into Chaos Space Marines turn 2, where they had a box of 4 terrifying threats.
Yeah, the Baboos.
The Baboos. And the Mauler Fiend, as well as the Leviathan Dread, have moved forward over here. And the Lord Discordant has gone exactly where we thought. Well, not where we... I actually don't know.
I thought he was going to follow the Mauler Fiend. But I guess with the Mega Knobs taking up this space, because this is where they
Which we weren't expecting.
Exactly. This is now the better play. So now the Defiler is going to shoot. He's going to whip them with his little Scourge here. And then he's going to hit them. The hope is, I think, that the Discordant will be able to get in as well as that Mauler Fiend, and it'll be a pretty scary scene. We're just told that the Dreadnought here, the Leviathan, is pumping his 8 Butcher Cannon shots into the Mega Knobs. They're going to have a 3-up armor, but he's possibly going to lose 1 or 2 of these little suckers, which he did. 1 has been pulled from the board.
Okay, well I wouldn't mind that. Just the 1 being lost seems okay.
Now, we've also been told that the Chaos List super whiffed with the autocannons on the Flyers, and absolutely 0 wounds were done.
Well, I bigged them up. There were 4 squads. They're going to just rifle through into them, and That's what I was.
Yeah.
Shoot them from the sky, boys.
But apparently, instead, they shot them directly into the air, declaring their allegiance to whoever.
To the sky god.
To the sky god,
Yeah.
the new god.
That's the issue with Chaos. They often want to murder the things in front of them, but sometimes they just want to absolutely just fuck the sky.
And, like, to be honest, this is Alpha Legion, so who knows what they're actually trying to fucking accomplish. Oh, pardon my language. What they're trying to accomplish. They're just so shady. They might be even trying to trick themselves at this point.
They might be trying to trick themselves. Absolutely. I think, if let me get this right, we do have the. We could talk about the secondaries for the Chaos Marines.
Yeah, Scrivo has gotten his
He has got
crap
the Scrivo.
together.
He's doing so much. He's doing a great.
Look at
job.
him, like,
he's half man, half tech.
I mean, if you've ever played StarCraft, actions per minute are big deals. Scrivo's actions per minute now are in the thousands.
So these are the secondaries that Dunster is trying to achieve.
Yes.
Absolutely. Which we're not on Dunster's turn. Oh, no, we are on Dunster's turn.
We are on Dunster's
which
turn.
is
So
a
this is
Chaos
perfect.
Space Marine. So he's got Gangbusters, Big Game Hunter, and the Reaper. If you don't know what that means, in ITC you can achieve 4 points for each one of these, max, over the game. So 12 points. And as you said, separates the wheat from the chaff.
Oh, for sure. In this game, being able to pick your secondaries is huge, and do it properly. And it, like, when you see top players play, people that are consistently in those top tables, they've become so
not
good
me.
at it. So yeah, not me either. Not Scrivo, obviously.
Obviously.
You know, people like not Val Heffelfinger, like Jim Vessel. Like he'll have
Who's
his.
here?
He's here.
I
He
met
is here.
him.
He is a beautiful man. He is possibly always coked up. Don't tell
quote
him that.
us.
Don't quote us.
Don't quote us.
That's, I think, libel or
but I
something.
heard once he did take a bunch of cocaine and invade a territory. I'm not sure that's...
Yeah, he was trying to mimic some of his British colonial background. So
we did it so well for years.
Whoa.
So you can achieve these. Gangbusters, the first one that he's picked is for every 6 wounds inflicted on a multi-model unit composed entirely of models with 3 or more wounds, score 1 point.
So yes, and for this, he wants to kill Mega Knobs.
Lovely.
Yeah, he wants them to be dead. Now, he'll also get the points off of killing Smasher Guns.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
Yeah, so it's a really good choice. He's going to get a ton of points off that. And then Big Game Hunter here. So that's going to be the Flyers and the Gorkanaut mostly is where he's going to try to get his points off killing those. And then the Reaper. Now, the Reaper, when you play Orcs, you automatically pick the Reaper. Except in this case, I'm not sure it was a good choice.
Right.
Because this is not a standard Orc list.
It's very different to what I've seen.
So normally, I mean, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, normally an Orc player is running like 120 to 7,000 models.
Yeah, we as an Orc player myself, we we aim for 7,000, but sometimes we just get too excited and end up taking with 8,000 or 9,000 models.
Yeah, and it fits the lore. It's what you should see. Is just a wave of green.
And also, as an Orc player, I refuse to move a movement tray or anything that would ever help facilitate me be faster.
Yeah, I mean that's the point. Like you really just want to drink grain alcohol until you're blind if you're an Orc player. But anyway, in this case, the reason why Reaper was kind of an odd choice is Caleb only has just over 80 models in his list. He's running, I believe, only like 84, 85 models. So James here in taking Reaper is trying to table the man.
Right. Okay. I mean, that's. But Caleb, in response, took Big Game Hunter, Recon, and the Butcher's Bill. Recon seems to be one I see taken a lot by lots of players.
Yes, and I'm not sure if it's the right choice now. I think early on in the game of 40k, it was an excellent choice for a lot of armies. But as this game has progressed and people have gotten better in the movement phase, gotten better at positioning, blocking out areas, Recon is very hard to do. That being said, Caleb does have 3 Flyers, and if they survive, they can move around the board exceedingly fast to get him those Recon points. So not a difficult choice. Lucky for Caleb, those shots whiffed on the Flyers, so he's going to easily make it.
And then and then he's got the Butcher's Bill. So I think he's going to be able to achieve these quite nicely. This turn's going to be a big one for him, I think.
I think this is going to be big. Yeah, Recon is something that he should be able to start getting this turn because of where his Flyers are positioned. Big Game Hunter, he's going to be able to kill the Mauler Fiend, the Dreadnoughts. That's what's going to get him those. Butcher's Bill killing 2 units a turn. As long as he stays patient, I think that's going to be the key for Butcher's Bill. Butcher's Bill is something you can get if you get too excited early game, you kill too many units, all of a sudden you can't score it because there's not enough units left.
Okay.
That being said, let's see if we can cut back to the game because I think some important charges have been happening.
Yeah, we are doing that now.
And it was there were some pretty sad things that happened here.
So what happened in this turn as we saw it?
So as far as I can tell, the Defiler has made his charge into the Mega Knobs. The plan was that the Lord Discordant was going to follow him in, and it was going to be a scary murder frenzy from that guy. And then you were going to have the Mauler Fiend come in along with that Daredeo, and they were going to try to pick up I wouldn't charge the Leviathan, sorry.
Yeah.
And I probably wouldn't actually charge the Leviathan because it's got no AP on his close combat. But from what I gather, the Lord Discordant failed his charge. He had already used his reroll for the charge phase on the Defiler, who failed a much easier
charge,
miserable charge.
So it was a series of disasters.
Yes. So the Mauler Fiend has failed his charge as well.
Oh wow!
The Lord Discordant has failed his charge. So they're going to be sitting out in the open. We have just a Defiler.
Dunster, I'm so sorry.
In close combat. This is one of the most disappointing things that I'm sure any Alpha Legion player has ever seen.
And he's wanted to go and smash those Mega Knobs because they're well. I mean, you've picked them up to me, and I've seen them already do some work. I'm very excited about them because they're the big threat. So failing all those charges,
failing 2 of the 3 charges, the Defiler is not going to be able to do anything. Well, I shouldn't say anything. The Defiler can do work, but he's maybe picking up 2 models.
Yeah. So there's the unit of Mega Knobs as we can see them. That's the Mega Knobs there? I think
that's his Mega Knobs.
They're the Mega Knobs. So I think we're able to look at the stats for the Mega Knobs and see how they work because you've chosen them as a swing choice, being particularly strong here. So obviously they're base move 4, so they don't womp around particularly fast. But they've got some pretty terrifying attacks.
Yes. So they got 3 attacks each base. They can easily get a 4th with a Wog Banner, which Caleb is running. They are hitting on 4s, I believe, because they get an extra -1 to hit.
Yep. Weapon skill 3 here.
Yes.
But so normally now 4s because of the power claws that they're rocking.
Power claw, exactly. So they're going to be hitting on 4s. 4 attacks each.
Strength 5.
Strength 10 because it's double.
So now we're going to strength 10.
Yeah. They can really pick up some stuff. So we were just told the Defiler did pick up 2 Mega Knobs like I figured he would.
But their 2-up save is going to be helping against that.
Yes, but they don't have any invuln, unless they've got a KFF nearby. I'm not sure if any of the KFFs are within range of them this turn, because I believe the Waz Bomb is out of range for sure, and I'm not sure where he did have a big mech with the KFF, and I'm not sure where that is on the board right now.
Okay, well, we're going to go back to the top down now, and then there you go, and we'll be able to bring that together as we see. But those Mega Knobs doing the smashing is going to be fun. They're going to hit back now at the Defiler. That's what they're going to do.
They definitely are, and I'm assuming, and I might be wrong, that Defiler is going to get smushed.
And that's a massive negative because the last thing you ever want to do is lose models in your opponent. You want to lose your models in your turn.
Yes.
Like when you were planning to smash that unit off the board.
Oh no, and really, at least the Mauler Fiend and the Defiler should be in this combat. And that Mauler Fiend would have picked up another few Mega Knobs. That would have been big. That would have been really big.
Yes, but they're not going to.
Well, we were just told that those Mega Knobs also whiffed.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting, which means, because if they could have cleared this model, then they would have had options to go where they wanted, or even, and I think most importantly, go after the Discordant before it got the charge and the ability to activate first.
Exactly, and that's huge.
Okay, that's very interesting. So do you think we're going to see, I wonder if we're going to see them, I don't imagine we're going to see them fall back. I imagine they'll stay locked in combat so they can continue on there and leave shooting, obviously not to deal with the models, I would assume, but we'll see.
Yeah, so we were told 7 wounds were put on the Defiler. It's not enough to kill it, so he obviously whiffed hard on the damage rolls and on the wounding.
Did he not decide to attack again?
I don't believe he did.
Oh, interesting.
So,
because he's still got the CP, he's still got 3 CP to do so.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised he decided not to.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's saving up for something big. Like he does have double shooting that he can do with his shock attack gun, which may be what he's hoping to save it for. To maybe, if he gets a good roll, pop this Leviathan just out, or the Discordant, which is kind of now hanging out right here. We were told the big mech with the KFF is actually all the way over here because he had to pop him out of the Gorkanaut. So he's a little far behind the front lines, but I'm assuming that will change this turn.
It's a nice way of keeping him safe as well, especially with like assassin. Like if you're talking about it over the course of the day, especially with assassins and other units able to take out characters, having him in here so he can pop up later to give that 5+, as you maybe have dealt with them. Especially because you'll take the jets, move over, potentially get backline snipers first. Then you can, but you start off with your 5-up invuln save from the WAS bomb.
Yes.
And then you've got a backup for your backfield later.
Exactly.
That's a nice setup.
It is. It's a beautiful setup. It does provide him a lot more survivability than people have come to expect from orcs. So what we're seeing right now, Caleb is going to be moving his flyers to try and get that recon point. My guess is this unit of Grots is probably just over that center line. If not, he will pump them up a couple inches to make sure. And then he'll have his recon point for the turn, so that's big. One thing we didn't mention last turn, we did say it was happening, but we didn't actually follow up. James's Warlord died turn 1.
Did he?
Yes, so...
we missed that.
So James had a Chain Lord that I mentioned earlier. He was standing right there, all beautiful, thought he was well protected, completely forgot that flyers move, 40-some-odd inches. The flyers, just as we saw, pumped right here. The Daka Jets laid into him with 36 Strength 5 AP -1 shots with more Daka. Wiped him right off the board.
Amazing.
Yeah. Now, the WAS bomb did fail in shooting at the Sorcerer, so his Chaos Sorcerer did manage to survive that round, and Caleb was hoping to kill both. But now we're in a position where I think this is Caleb's game to lose.
I think Caleb seems like he's in a very strong place, and also it's a really pretty army. So I'm looking forward to this moving forward into. Do you think you rate him against the list that we're going to see tomorrow? Obviously, today's meant to be a fun adventure for you guys if you're watching at home. We're having 3 days of fun games. Tomorrow's when we get into the nitty gritty of who may win, and how many knights they'll have. But you don't agree with that statement?
No, I really think that Caleb has a chance because it isn't a standard army that a lot of people play against. And while a lot of people will frown against Gotcha 40k, there is something to be said for just not practicing against a list like this, where he's going to be able to pull things that people don't expect. The one thing I often see at like a middle table scenario with flyers, especially things like orc flyers that no one see, when they rush up and snipe, just like we just saw, that's something that so many people forget about, is like how good a sniper unit it can be. We saw it at BAO earlier this year when Jeff in Control Robinson killed Jim Vessel's major demon princes by popping Caladiuses, which are essentially just like ridiculous flyers on top of a building and sniping them out when he didn't expect it. And it's just something you have to look for, and you often forget.
We do, yeah, you do, you really do, and also that's why I think, that's why I think board control is so important, and why playing against orcs generally can be troublesome, especially like some of the flyer lists that you see out there, because they're normally in a more kind of obvious orc list that you tend to see, including ones that I run. So I'm jabbing at myself there happily. You've got a lot of board control and the ability to protect your characters, so you're okay. Normally in a list like this, Dunster's list, he doesn't have a huge amount of board control.
No,
and he used it in an alpha combat
alpha strike situation. Yeah,
and that's. I mean, we talk about alpha strike a lot. A lot of people talk about alpha strikes, and what they say is he tried to alpha strike. Well, that's actually not then an alpha strike. An alpha strike is only defined by a successful successful destruction of your opponent's ability to fight back from the first turn. So what he really did was he just threw away his units at the start of the game, and he was only ever going to hit the Grots. Yeah,
he was only ever going to hit the Grots. I wouldn't have done it the way he did. But I mean, to be fair, he did seize, and then I don't think he was prepared to seize, but he took the advantage anyway. I maybe would have made Caleb go first and just dealt with the situation, because he has all these autocannons, and they can put out so much damage, but like you said, limited range. You almost want him to come to you.
Yes.
Especially like this.
And the Chaos Marine army is a midfield army. Like, it doesn't have a lot of. I mean, it has some long range, but most of it's doing its work here. And what's really interesting about Caleb's army, it also wants to be there. So someone's got to move into no man's land, and I'd rather my enemy moved into no man's land first.
Yes. So it looks like Caleb has buffed up his Meganobs. He's given them an extra attack, so now he's going to be looking at 5 attacks each with those Meganobs. Theoretically, that's a very smushed Defiler when it comes to the combat phase, because we're looking at 40 attacks into it.
Wow.
Yeah, because he has 8 left.
I won't lie, he's making me want to play Mega Knobs.
Everything makes me want to play Mega Knobs. They are orc custodies, and I can't go wrong with my bros.
No, who wouldn't want that, realistically?
So the Weird Boy has just smited off the Mauler Fiend.
Oh, good, because he was down to he'd not lost him in the previous turn,
yes.
and Caleb was a little bit disappointed.
He didn't want to put any more resources into it.
No, he did not, and it's nice clearing that also in the psychic phase. Gives him some more line of sight, just opens up some room, and potentially leaves him a charge here.
I think this is an explosion roll.
Is it?
I believe that is exactly what that is.
An explosion roll.
Yeah,
Ooh,
the Mauler
okay.
Fiend exploded.
And I think he lost, maybe he lost a Mega Knob as well.
Yeah, so he put 3 wounds. It looks like he did 3 mortal wounds to the Leviathan and killed a Mega Knob.
Wow, that's upsetting.
That is very upsetting. I'm not sure I would have wanted to lose a Mega Knob to put 3 wounds on a Leviathan, but
No, you think that played out actually in the Chaos Marine's favor?
yeah, for sure. He only had 1 wound left. Failing that charge was huge, so now he at least got a little bit of resource out of it. Removing another one of those Mega Knobs. He needs to get those off the board.
Does he have many? I mean, they are slowly moving into this autocannon range.
Yes.
Which is going to be pretty devastating, I'd say. But it also feels like he's holding the midfield, and he's got these flyers. So he's got the 2 threats of the Mega Knobs here, the backfield shooting to come from the Met Guns, and at the same time he's got the Mega Knobs. So if I was a Chaos Marine player, I wouldn't know what to prioritize to start to clear first for the late game, if there's going to be a late game.
Exactly. And you didn't mention there's a almost full health Gorkanaut right there because
Well, I just don't see him as a threat.
Oh, I think that the closer this Gorkanaut gets this way, the more of a threat he becomes. Because he isn't a slouch in close combat. He does also have some power fist and shenanigans. He can fist the crap out of this Leviathan, maybe take it down. It'll be very interesting to see how this next turn drops out.
I think so. I think it's going to be super interesting to see how it plays. I personally think that the Orcs are in the driving seat.
They definitely
at
are.
the stage, and because of those failed charges in the turn before.
So right now the Flyers are shooting into the Havocs here and here, trying to remove them off of, mostly here to try and remove them off that objective. Sorry, apparently it's just a regular Marine squad. But either way, he's trying to get them off the objective because right now
he's going to want to hold more.
Yeah, he wants to hold more. Dunster was only able to hold this turn. He did not get any kills, so that's huge. That's going to put Caleb ahead in a bigger way. He's definitely going to get hold more at this point because he did clear off the units here with the Daka Jets. I believe he's putting the rest of his shots into this unit by the sounds of things, but we'll find out for sure.
And what we've heard from our gorgeous table boss, Max Dubois, big shout out to him for doing the work this weekend. Thank you. That he thinks neither player can score any of the bonus points for the mission over the course of the game.
No, they don't think it's possible. No.
Yeah, they don't think it's possible. So really they are fighting for hold more, kill more, and doing their secondaries.
Did we go over what this mission was?
We did not go over
Do we want to grab the sheet and quickly go over what we're covering?
Absolutely, I'd love to.
Yeah, thank you, Scrivo. Scrivo magically, with his third hand, sent me the scenario sheet, just like a boss. So if we're looking here, we're actually running scenario 1 for this mission. It has 6 objective markers, and if a player holds or contests 5 of those objectives, they get the bonus point. So it's probably the hardest mission to score bonus points on, because you basically need complete board control. So you're only seeing like Gene Stealer cults possibly doing it. This Alpha Legion list could possibly have done it if instead of being so alpha heavy, he had used his extra moves to grab the objectives that were out in the open. As you can see, like there's kind of these 3 that are more mid-table. There is 1 in this zone, 1 in this zone, and then there was 1 in the back corner over there. And yeah, so like Alpha Legion can possibly do it for 1 turn, but then you're spreading your army out really thin. I'm not sure he wants to do that, but I also don't think he should have alpha struck.
Well, he could. No, I don't think he should have either. I think we talked about that before. I think gaining those points is important, but it's a point when you've potentially given up 20 or 30 other points through the victory. So it's not the right way.
Hard to say because sometimes you do something like that and it's going to throw off your opponent. They're going to be what do I prioritize? Because you didn't really do anything, but now you have all this board control. But really with a Chaos Marine list, I don't know. That's something, like I said, you see out a lot out of Gene Stealer cults because they can put some very cheap units out there. They don't care if they die, but they get those extra bonus points. It's a very interesting play that just didn't happen. And now we're at a point where I'm not sure it can happen unless one, like maybe Caleb or Dunster, turns us around and almost wipes the other one out.
But the big threat that we the big threat that we talked about earlier on is that Lord Discordant is still there.
Yep.
He can still do the work. He's still ready to rock. And as I understand it, he can just go through this army like it's made of butter, effectively.
He should if he hits those Mega Knobs, a lot of those Mega Knobs should go away. That's something that should happen. Like I said, like the Discordant does even better against Imperium, which make up half the armies out there. But even against Orcs, they're going to pick up some models.
Yes, absolutely. And also the Dagger Jets are just left unmolested, absolutely ready to do the work that they want to do.
Yep. And the more models that get removed, the harder it's going to be for Dunster to pick those guys up.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game as it plays through. However, I think now at this stage we're going to hear what's happening at the rest of the capital city bloodbath from a man that needs no introduction, yet we need to give him one anyway.
Well, this would be my good friend and yours, Val the Hammer Heffelfinger.
Hello, everybody, coming to you live from the floor of the Capital City Bloodbath 2019 ITC Major Tournament. As you can see behind me, things are pretty wild, folks. You've got lots of people playing things. It's quite remarkable. So I'm here with just a very quick update and probably some interviews lined up in the coming minutes. Over at the Cash Money Hammer Showdown, we've got Tori versus Alex. It's looking like a pretty tight game, although Alex's Khorne Demon Prince went in and absolutely whiffed. So it's got him a bit on the back foot against Tori's very cool, sort of Eldari, but Drukhari heavy Drukhari list. And then over with Jason Sparks versus Sebastian Marengo, that really heavy Alpha Strike versus Sebastian. Lot of damage dealt in the early turn. Sparks now takes it 34-13. Jason Sparks is an excellent player. Doesn't get out as many tournaments as maybe he did in previous years. Has in the past been ranked very highly in the ITC. So he's definitely a player to watch that you may not know about. I asked him for an interview. He said, no thank you, maybe later. Sign of cockiness? Who knows? We also have the other Sebastian versus Dustin Henshaw playing in the GSC Mirror. That is supposed to all happen on turn 2. They were going into turn 2 when I last updated you guys, and they're still in turn 2. So things are going a little slowly on that table. Elsewhere, we got Josh Death versus Josh Curtis. That one looks like it's wrapping up. I'll grab Josh Curtis for a quick interview once it is done. I'm suspecting that Mr. Death carries the day there. Stephen Pamprine, he drew 3 knights, which is something that his list loves to see. In the first turn, he basically lost all of his smash-a-guns, as I told you. Subsequently, he took out the Sarasis Knight and about half of one of the 2 Crusaders. So there's not much left that they can really shoot once the guns are eliminated. And so those knights are just going to be grinding through grots. And it's a matter of time before tank busters and shock attack guns finish the job for Pamprine. And then finally, Dan Platt, local hero. Well, not really local. He's from London, Ontario. He's in turn 3, well ahead, 11-4. Look to me on the table. There was a gallant from he's playing Knights in Admech and against Knights in Admech with sort of the Disco Lord, Chaos, Party Time. The gallant was dead already on the table, and one Disco Lord was in the Admech lines as Dan was starting his turn. So probably looking like Platt might seal the deal there. Not sure. We might bring him on for an interview too. And finally, I'm just having a lot of fun out there walking around. If you are interested in anything from the floor, I'm going to try to scan the Twitch stream. I've also got a post going on Reddit, our Warhammer Competitive. So if there's something you want to know more about, anyone you want some focus on, maybe an interview from the field that you're keen to hear, we'll definitely get that started for you. It looks like Rob has returned from the bathroom. Standard 5 or 6 minute nervous poop for Rob. I'm going to kick it over to the booth.
Oh, here we go. Thank you so much, Val.
Thank you so much, Val.
I appreciate that a lot.
I'm really glad you call it every time Rob uses the bathroom.
Yeah, I can't wait for the 6 rounds of roasting that is going to.
It's gonna be beautiful. So now, while that man blabbered on for the last what feels like forever, we had a game going on, and what we missed was the charge phase from Caleb. So Caleb managed to get in his war boss that had disengaged from the Gorkanaut where he'd been hiding his little poor soul. Hopped out, jumped on this objective, slammed his way into the 1-inch space that Caleb had left for him into that defiler, and by himself, without letting the Meganobs do anything, roasted that mother.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 attacks from the Meganob. from the
War boss.
From the war boss.
I mean, he's the boss. He needs
boss.
to let them know because they've already done a good job.
They did what they were supposed to do. So he's like, boys, I got this. I got this, as he would have
I
said.
think he's putting them in their place. Yeah, I got this, lads.
Yeah.
I'm going to smash them up.
I'm going to smash him up real good. And so he has a Dakilla Claw, which is a special relic power claw that is flat 3 damage, and he smoked the Defiler by himself.
Wow. That is some devastating output from the man the orc letting the other orcs know who is the realist and the meanest.
Yes, and that's what you got to do as the war boss. So we just got an update for the score. This last turn, Caleb managed to score 8 points.
Wow. So he was previously on no, he wasn't on 3 before, but he's now cumulatively on 9?
Yes. So that was big for Caleb. I believe he should be on 10, but we'll double check later. Maybe 11. So because Caleb scored 8 this turn, huge numbers, while the Marine player was only able to score a sole single point for hold.
Oh,
Caleb did score hold more, kill more, and he got 5 secondaries by taking out, or 4 secondaries, pardon me, for taking out that Defiler as well as the Mauler Fiend.
And I know not super important as getting the points. He's still sat on a couple of CP as well.
Yep.
Whereas Dunster's out. Dunster's got what he's got. Yeah, he's just turned up, naked to the party, ready to rock.
Yeah, and Dunster's running out of
Which I've
the
done too many
backfield
times.
fire. Well, listen, I usually don't show up to the party naked. It's just something that happens near the end.
Fire Drake says, "Go Caleb!" Thank you everyone in the chat for joining us. Let us know who you're rooting for. He's excited for Caleb.
You know what? And I think you should be. Caleb's. Both of these guys are excellent competitors. You guys can't see them too much from time to time, but they're having a great game. They're having a laugh with each other. Like, there's no hard feelings about how the game's going on with for the Marines. Like we said, he's having a bit of a struggle. He had some rolls go poorly. That opening Alpha Strike, probably the bad decision that was the turning point. It sucks that it happened so early for him, but it is what it is sometimes when you play this beautiful game. He still does have some shooting. He has lost 2 of his big heavy hitters in close combat. But
he has not lost the man. We've bigged this man up now for a while.
Yeah, so I'm really hoping he does work because I'm going to feel really embarrassed.
The Lord Discordant, the Disco Lord, as he's affectionately known. I wonder what is he, like an Earth, Wind, and Fire kind of disco, or more of a rare groove kind of guy?
I think a rare groove. That's what I would put him as.
A rare groove.
Yeah, I think
quite
Earth, Wind, and Fire is more the flawless host disco. I think that's where he goes.
So this Disco Lord's going to go in and dance with those mega knobs.
I believe that's his hope. Although he may go right for the Warlord. He may go balls deep here. And try to take out that war boss at the same time. If he gets that toxin injector into that war boss, that's some bad news. That toxin can do some heavy damage.
Okay, all right. I'm excited to see if that happens. But we've also talked about we still have these squads who previously did little damage.
They did absolutely nothing.
But now they've started shotting and good target priority. What do you take out? Do you take out the Dakka Jets, who arguably do the more output, or do you take out the Wasbomb Blaster Jet, giving them the 5-up invulnerable save?
I think he made the right choice. As you guys can see, the Wasbomb Blaster Jet was removed, and that wasn't for any other reason other than some of these Havocs put out a decent amount of shots and dropped him. So now I believe he is shooting the Deradeo into one of the Dakka Jets. See if we can put some wounds on that. And then we're going to move up to up here and see what this Leviathan can put out for damage. It's going to be very interesting to see how if he can turn this around.
I think what's really interesting, the Orcs have not lost a lot, which is what I was expecting them to have lost.
No, for sure.
Because they don't normally hold up very well, like defensively. But the Chaos Marine force has just fallen to pieces, like in parts. I mean, the Leviathan Dreadnought's not cheap, and it's tanky AF.
Oh, for sure. He can do a lot, and I think he's got the right target priority. I believe first turn he had put some pot shots into the Gorkanaut, which I think is a poor decision. It's kind of like your distraction Carnifex in this list.
Apart from it's useless.
It's big and beautiful, though.
Oh, it's wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I want to love them. Listen, as an Orc player, I desperately want to just run them around like knights, and just be like, I'm a hero, a legend of this Orky world. But they just let me down.
Scrivo, can we get a close-up on this Gorkanaut? I don't know how close we've ever gotten with this sucker. But
let's get right in.
Can we get right in since we're trash talking this? Well, Rob's trash talking it. I think
I'm trash talking its ability as a model. Caleb has produced arguably one of the cutest things I've ever seen.
It is one of the best conversions at this event. I think
potentially going to win. It's going to win the painting competition at some point, I'm sure. And then potentially win something. Who knows? But the whole army is top-down gorgeous. Like
so Scribble's trying real hard to get us a close-up on this this Gorkanaut, but apparently
there we go. And at that point,
look at this. That was perfect timing. Thank you, James, for.
Does it get any closer? Like, how close does it get? Let's do a test together. There we go.
Look at that. Look at that. And then it's just. James.
That's fine.
James,
he's fine. He's doing some measuring. No, go back to it. Go back to it. That's fine. I like this. It's like I'm peering around it.
So one thing we should mention about the game, the Leviathan Dreadnought managed to get line of sight on the Mega Knobs. He dropped 2.5. So now those Mega Knobs are down to, I believe, 4, 5, with one of them having only about 1.
And that's all that's left.
Yeah, so that's good for James. It's
I
really
love this Orc who stood on top, and he's just like,
awesome.
Walk forward so I can stab them with my big chopper.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what we want to do. It's a wonderful model. That army's crazy. The whole thing's great.
The custom jobs he's done is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and also, you can't see it, but it's just here. Inside his back is a missile, which is actually like a rocket booster.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is a Imperial Knight chainsword. He's got tagged on there. It's just a beautiful, beautiful model that's been put together here.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. And so thank you for bringing it on the tabletop to show us, and also kicking ass with the army. You can turn up and just have just having a pretty army is actually quite hard, as I've tried to do it and failed miserably often. So already he's achieved something I can't. But then he's kicking butt with it too.
He is kicking butt. We were just told that the Disco Lord shot the war boss, managed to put 2 wounds on him with the autocannon. He's now charged, and he only chose to charge the war boss. He did not charge the Mega Knobs.
He's too scared of him at this stage. Like they're just dangerous, and he just doesn't want to. But like you said, you called it right. You said he was going to go for the war boss, and he has. Yes. So you're going to get those two going mano a mano. I'm sure we can get a close-up of that at some point. Also, Nitro Morphine in the chat says, "Remember this Caleb's second Orc army, painted like this. The dude is an animal. Sold his first army on the spot at LVO for the cash."
Yeah, and that's not the only time that this man's ever done that. I believe he also did that with his gorgeously painted Tyranid army that he sold to our man Val Heffelfinger on the spot for cash one day, because Caleb is an absolute beast. He just speed paints pro-painted armies and then doesn't bother eBaying them, just gives them to people.
I think I've seen his armies on the eBay. I've seen a lot of the pro-painted ones on the eBay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're the same level of pro-painted.
Okay.
I'm not
Wait,
sure.
That's not his brand.
No.
Pro-painted is not his brand. Okay, I've learned so many things there. And also, as you can see on the tabletop, this is where we're at if you've just joined us. So there's the top down, and we're in Dunster's turn as he tries to do, I don't know what he's trying to do at this stage.
He's just trying to clear up some of these threats. So killing that war boss is big. The war boss, possibly a bigger threat to the Discordant than the Mega Knobs are at this point, with the Mega Knobs being down to, I believe it looks like 4 models. I was wrong on the 5. So tagging them, trying to stay outside of an inch of them so they can't smack them in the butt is a good idea. We do know that the Wog Banner did heroically intervene into the Discordant. I'm not sure if the Knob with the Wog Banner is going to do a whole lot to him. I believe he's got him with a Power Claw, though, so you never know if that's going to pop out 3 or 4 wounds.
But then these units are going to be able to fall back, and then he has got like a variety of shooting that can pour in here.
Yes.
Do we think that's going to take out the Lord Discordant? Because I think it potentially
It
will.
could. It really depends on those Smasher Guns, right? If those Smasher Guns roll poorly...
It's just orc shooting.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, will it do it? Well, it depends.
Yeah.
It so depends.
He's either going to get 14 shots or 2, and then we'll see what happens.
We're losing some more.
Yeah, so the Discordant did what he does and wiped out the War Boss with just his first round of attacks, because he does have several.
Wow, okay, so there he's gone. He was here previously. Smoted.
He was smitten.
Yeah.
But not sexually by the Lord Discordant. This, like we said, this is not your standard Slaneshi Lord Discordant. This is Alpha Legion. Who knows who he pledged allegiance to? He may have pledged allegiance to no one.
Which is why he's dead.
Which is why he's
dead. But in the next round, like we said, those Meganobs can still do the work.
Oh, they can. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
And we have talked about that, but John, if we can get to top down again, we have talked about this kind of ongoing combat in the middle. And Dunster's also managed to rack up 2 points for Gangbuster here.
Yes.
So that's helped put his score back up a little bit and start to creep towards Caleb. But Dunster is now on his third turn. Second turn, third turn.
This would be Dunster's. When we move to Dunster,
Dunster's
it'll be his third turn. Yes.
Yeah, and when we go back to Caleb, it's going to be his third turn. So Caleb's still got his third turn to go, and he's still got a score lead there, as you can see, 9. And he has board control. He's got units. He's still got a lot of threats, although he has probably lost these Meganobs, but that's not all the threats he's got. He's got this big Gorkanaut here. He has these Met Guns that are going to be able to fire forward, and then he's still got the 2...
2 planes.
Two
Daka Jets. Now, this Daka Jet has taken 2 wounds from the Sorcerer. As you can see here, Dunster went all in, charged his Sorcerer into the Daka Jet, took 2 wounds for it from all of those Super Shooters, but still managed to plink a couple wounds off, which I think is what he needs to do. He needs every wound that he can get to keep in this game.
Yes, he does.
We've moved on to Caleb. He is getting into position here to try and grab some more objectives in that center board. That's really a big play for him, because at this point, with Dunster dropping models like nobody's business, it's a really good time for Orcs to try and grab all of these objectives
and then potentially it's not get the bonus point. He could potentially get the bonus point.
He could potentially get the bonus.
Okay, thank you. So what we find out is 0 points scored that turn. No,
he should have 2 for sure, because he did get a kill and he did get a hold. We're just gonna wait to see if he ends up getting kill more will be the situation here.
Okay.
I don't think he will be able to. I mean, he really only killed the War Boss as far as I can see, and then just plinked some wounds off some other things.
Tanner beat Herbert in the chat says, doesn't make sense how the Orc players run a list with no crystals. That is in reference to a show host we have for the Honest Wargamer, Tom, who is a hobby criminal, once did some very ETC style kind of hobby crimes. We won't mention those on the channel anymore. Okay. We're sorry about that. So moving into the Orcs turn, Caleb's already decisively made some choices. He was like, I don't need to. I'm not taking a moment. I'm taking my flyers. They're going over here. What do you think he's going to try and do? Do you think he's going to finally try and deal with the Discordant, because there's still the Leviathan Dreadnought?
So my guess is the Knob with the Wog Banner, who's still in combat here, and looks like he did plink out at least a wound or 2 off of the Discordant. He's going to go in with the Meganobs into the Discordant. I would not be surprised if this Gorkanaut gets into combat with the Leviathan Dread after shooting all of his rockets and shenanigans into him. We'll have the Smasher Guns try to do work. They probably can see this unit here. That would be where I'd probably put the damage, or these guys up here.
And potentially even, depending on what, 48 inches, they might just be able to get that unit at the back, but maybe not.
It's possible. I believe this is the Sorcerer that was taking out the Daka Jet, so he won't be able to target him.
And there's still a Dorado. To be honest, as much as it looks like Caleb's doing really well, and he's got ball control, he's going through units. There's some pretty tough and resilient units there. The Dorado is another tough unit. So, it looks like Caleb will do very well through this turn, but that doesn't mean that that's necessarily going to pan out, because there's invuln saves everywhere, and you've just got to roll hot, and you're good. Speaking of rolling hot, there's a man been running around in the field, Mr. Val Heffelfinger, and he's been bringing us some hot goss from around the world. He's about to interview a man who looks gorgeous.
He looks gorgeous. He works out. You
Yeah,
have
he
to know
definitely works out.
Last night we went out to eat at Lone Star. He didn't bother. He just did push-ups the entire time. The man is a myth. He's a legend. He's essentially our Sasquatch. Also just as hairy, Val Heffelfinger.
Sasquatch from the waist down. I'm joining Josh Curtis here, who's just wrapped up against Josh Death, who travels around in a Warhammer Winnebago, playing in GTs and majors all over North America. We're not sure how it works, but he's everywhere. Now, Josh may not remember this, but when I first started playing 40k again in my old age, back in 7th edition, he was my first commission painter. Yep. And it was a really great thing because it led me to find my first good commission painter immediately after that, Battle Brothers Painting. Fantastic work. So, Josh, you're also on a podcast. Yep. What show do you do?
The podcast is the Drunken Dreadnoughts. We basically do every Thursday at about 1 p.m.
Every Thursday at 1 p.m. Odd time to podcast, yep. But that's fine. And now you have accounts as Gilliman here. So why don't you talk about him?
So the mascot for the podcast is Old Blue. So I decided to make the bottles Emperor Sword Ale, and so that replaces the Emperor Sword for Robbie G. And his base is a little bigger, but luckily I measure off of it. And we had him done up by Modern Synthesis. So he converted him up for us and did all the green stuff work on him and put all the kegs and everything else on.
So is this your first time out to the Capital City Bloodbath?
No, it's my second time for this one.
Okay, and I notice you're playing your repulsors, yep. But you're not all in on them, as you often have been. Yep. What sort of things do you bring in the list to change it up, and what were your thoughts coming into the tournament with that list?
So most people bring about 4 or 5 repulsors. I do the Eliminators instead, and I also bring the Phobos Librarian because he's able to use Temporal Corridor and Null Zone, and a lot of people don't expect that, especially Demon Armies or anyone that relies heavily on invulnerable saves. And you're able to get more around the table, I find, and you don't have to rely on Gilliman's Bubble as much.
Amazing. And what went wrong?
Well, I had a really lucky first turn against Josh Death. And then he was able to come back from it, and he actually got some amazing dice rolls, like just crazy good dice rolls, and ended up blowing up 3 of my repulsors. So it's pretty much just me trying to get as many points as I could after that.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're just going to wrap it up. Anything you want to tell our like wonderful Twitch, Facebook, whatever audience?
Go check us out at drunkendreadnoughts.com if you guys like morning radio with good audio. That's us.
Okay, so I should probably talk to them about fixing the levels on 40k Stat Center, but I'm going to patch you over to 2 really level-headed guys instead. Over to you, Rob.
Thank you so much, Val. I appreciate that loads.
Trucker.
Yeah, he is. He's just doing so good out in the field, yeah. And I'm impressed. Does he do this kind of semi-professionally? Has he done any online work before?
Not really any good online work.
Yeah.
I mean, some people have to carry him occasionally. But,
yeah. And let me tell you, as a co-host, you're excellent, and I appreciate it. So I can understand how you definitely are the powerhouse behind that show.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I am. I mean, look at me. I'm built like a tank. One that maybe has not had any maintenance for 30 to 40 years, but it is what it is.
So welcome back to Capital City Bloodbath round 1. We've got Orcs versus Chaos Marines. We're in turn 3. We're currently in the Orcs turn, so that's run by Caleb with a beautiful Orc army. As you can see, it's 11-8 in Caleb's favor with his turn to go. So he's got Hold More and Killed More coming this turn, as well as potentially adding some more points on to his secondaries that you see here. In the first turn, we saw some Chaos Marines try an Alpha Strike and then get whomped by some Mega Knobs. Then we saw a Mauler Fiend go in to deal with those Mega Knobs.
A Defiler, but yes.
A Defiler, apologies, and thank you. Went in and got a Smoting also.
Yes, but that was mainly because the Mauler Fiend and the Lord Discordant both failed to do anything.
Agreed.
So unfortunately for Dunster here, he's had a few poor charge rolls. He got a little too aggressive early. That hurt him. What we missed here Caleb backed off with his Wog banner to shoot the Discordant, changed his mind, pumped all of his smasher guns into the Leviathan Dread instead, brought the Leviathan down to 2 wounds, and then the Gorkanaut does have the ability to do mortal wounds on the charge if you roll well.
Okay.
He did.
He did roll well.
So the Gorkanaut killed the Leviathan just by walking into him.
Just really?
Just walked up to him, and the Leviathan was
But
like,
he only had 2 wounds left.
yeah. But I mean, still,
Still.
that's the way to go. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you walked into me, did ya? Well,
so we had a
that's
sumo
it.
match. And honestly,
Yeah.
to be honest, that fight looked a lot like Val's last interview.
Yeah, exactly.
One incredibly tall boy, one incredibly short boy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to help Josh Curtis out here by saying he's average height, but it's not true. The man is about 4'11". He's just shy of 3 apples tall. It's definitely a thing. That's a Smurf reference.
And the
for
thing
all
that
small
John just
people.
brought us before is we were able to see both players in action, and if they're looking stressed. I was wondering, obviously when we get into some top table coverage, we might see the players sweating later. But I think John has. No, he doesn't. He's busy doing a
John
thing.
is in a groove right
yeah,
now.
he's smashing it, and I'm so proud of him.
Yep. His pants are way too tight. He needs to do something about
He
that.
put different trousers on because you upset him.
Oh,
So
look,
there
they
we
got it
go.
for us. Look at
So
this.
you got Caleb on the right, Dunster on the left. Those are those 2 fearsome T-Sports competitors.
Yes,
That's
and,
right.
I mean, Caleb, look at him. Look, I mean, this man obviously
The
is,
body of a painter,
He's obviously outside all the time.
the mind of a thinker.
Yeah.
And Dunster there rocking my favourite combo, kind of like dishevelled with black T-shirt.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
which
my
is
look.
exactly what I'm doing right now. You're doing it.
That's our look.
Scrivo would be doing it, but he at least did his hair up today.
It's a Wargamer look.
It is the Wargamer.
Yeah, so thanks us for letting us everyone know who we are. so someone saying that Caleb looks a lot like Nathan, which is very true. He does. It's just a Wargamer vibe, I would say.
Okay, so I believe Orc turn 3 is already over.
Wow.
The Mega Knobs charged into the Lord Discordant, wiped him out because, that's what Mega Knobs do. Like we already mentioned, the Gorkanaut walked into the Leviathan, and the Leviathan ran away due to just how scary that mother is. He did put some shots with the Daka Jets into the unit of Havocs that were up there and removed most of them. I believe there is one left. And there's also that Dark Apostle hiding in the top corner, hoping to not be removed.
Yeah, so he's hidden right behind this building.
Yeah, so if he's not already
even our
dead,
cameras and fancies there kind of detect him.
Yeah. So even if he's not already dead, he will be dead because there's no way that he's surviving. Well, actually, these Daka Jets are going to have to come down this way, so he might actually survive another turn.
Yeah, so as was pointed out by our fantastic table boss, Max Dubois, it means he's not going to get recon next turn because both these Daka Jets are going to have to move this way.
And he also didn't get it this turn because he did that, as he didn't have anybody in this corner.
And I'm all right in thinking that while that doesn't mean he's not going to win the game necessarily, that is potentially going to affect his overall standing at the end of the tournament.
It could potentially, yes. If it comes down, let's say Cable does absolutely stellar, goes 5-1 or 6-0. What you end up having is if he doesn't max out his points, that's the tiebreaker after everything's said and done is your battle points. So.
I'm kind of rooting for Caleb at this stage.
I mean,
already. I know I've not met the other 98 competitors in the field.
Well, 117, I believe.
117.
I believe there's 118 people here. I'll have to double check to see who didn't show up, even though they paid all that money.
But that's still a great shout, especially for the Capital City Bloodbath.
Oh, it's huge. These guys are so excited. They had originally capped it at 100. They managed to get an extra few tables, hoping that they might be able to pull off 120, and they came out just shy. Like, it's a really, really wicked turnout. There's a ton of bodies in here, people.
Can I also say as well, and if you guys have just joined us and haven't listened to Honest Wargamer before, that's fine. Also, I hate you. But no, we're not shy when we do tournament reviews. And one of the things that I have to say is I've been incredibly impressed, not only with the table layout, the room, the convenience, but also the actual terrain is fantastic. As you can see, this is one of the pieces of terrain. We're actually going to, there's so much terrain that's done so well, we're going to actually change it every match you see over the weekend, and something to note that it's all worthy to put on, which is a great shout to the TOs, realistically.
Every single table here has gorgeous terrain.
And functional. Gorgeous and
super
functional.
And
Yeah.
it's amazing. And they've done every kind of tabletop you can think of just for everybody. They've got Nova-style terrain, if anybody who pays attention to like the Nova style of tournament. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but they have tables set up just like that.
So we've just seen on the tabletop, we've just seen the handshake.
The handshake.
The handshake, I think. on the tabletop. Both players discussing it through, and it looks like Dunster is like, I cannot pull this back.
After losing the Discordant here and having the Leviathan fail so many saves against the Shootas and Smasher Guns, they made the decision to just call it. Caleb had started to move his models. Dunster looked at the board, said, there's no way I'm coming back. And so they're going to call it here, turn 4. They're going to count out exactly how many points Caleb can possibly score.
Yes.
To end the game. Because, guys, when somebody, usually when somebody signals for the defeat, they get a 0. I believe what they're going to do here instead is they're going to count out the rest of the points, figure out exactly how many Caleb would get.
And then he
only has a couple models left anyway.
And then we're going to bring an interview with the players and find out how they felt about that game, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be an important wrap-up. The guys on the tabletop there and see how they felt.
For sure.
Would you say, like, let's do a quick review ourselves as we saw it going through. Would you say that we talked about this already, but there was an early alpha strike from the Chaos Marines.
Yes.
John, if we could just quickly get the deployment map shot, please. Just so we can look at that. As you can see on the left-hand side in a moment when the map appears, the deployment was kind of triangular. We're looking at the victor there, Caleb.
Look at him.
He's
so happy.
He's so ready.
He's actually trying to figure out what mission they're actually running because he didn't know. He was like, oh, this is what was the bonus point again? Oh, I can't score that. No, he's actually just scoring right now to see exactly how many points he would get by completing the game. So you can see right here, guys, that's our deployment to start the game. It was corners, triangular corners.
It was. Pretty and then, John, can we get we're going to make the camera move. We're just learning.
We're just learning. Scrivo, he's too busy playing Magic the Gathering online. Obviously, he's not doing anything else.
So there we go. So this is what effectively happened. All of the army for the Chaos Marines deployed here. Similarly, the Orcs did on this side as well. But the Chaos Marines, specifically a unit of 20 Chaos Marines, moved into this field and then just attacked a chaff line there, which then meant in the next turn, the Orcs, let's just do some greens just to make it so it makes sense. The green Orcs then, they came in and they attacked and then were able to wipe them out and take the midfield. The major threats that we saw in the kind of the 4 Du Bois.
The Baboos.
The Baboos. And that would be the Disco Lord who eventually came around here, and also the Leviathan and the Defiler.
Defiler and Mauler Fiend.
The Mauler Fiend. The Defiler here and the Mauler Fiend came here, but then ended up with, all of the Met guns that were placed here ended up just whittling these down really effectively, which I think was great. And then eventually the Disco Lord, the boys had a big fight here, which eventually he lost too.
Yep. And I think if we play this differently, and it's hard to say what's it going to be. I think what Dunster really needs to do, Dunster needs to play more, needs to play a little bit more on the line with all of his autocannons.
Yep.
Not right on the line, but just a little bit back. Uses his Chaos Marines as a screen. Autocannon. Game starts. He gets the Cs. Even if he doesn't get the Cs, he's got protection. And Caleb had actually deployed very defensively because he's more of a shooty list. The Mega Knobs are supposed to be counterpunch. So he's not going to do anything there. Autocannons now wipe out the screen turn 1. That's the goal, the bolt guns. And now, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, those Alpha Legion guys come in. They start smashing face. They take out all those smasher guns, and it's a much closer game.
Well, let's. I think one of the things we can do is we can find out whether or not he was keen because it was round 1, and see what his thoughts were on his game. As we go now over to Val and the interview.
Hello, everybody. It's Val Heffelfinger here again on the sidelines of Capital City Bloodbath. I'm joined here with James, who you just saw on the stream running his Chaos stuff. Now, James, I know we were starting. There's a bit of confusion who's going to be on the stream table. You kind of got thrown in the fire there. So what were your thoughts when I came over and mumbled stuff and then you had to move tables?
My thoughts was, well, crap, what do I need to get to do and what do I need to be aware of for a stream? So I was a little bit caught off guard and it threw me off a bit. So I definitely made some mistakes because of it.
Olhef will catch you off guard and throw you off a bit. That's kind of my MO. Now, outside of the whole stream scenario, you only have a few seconds to size up your opponent. What were your thoughts with your list coming against Caleb here?
My thoughts against Caleb's list was I saw all the grots and immediately knew that if I can't get through that line and make a real disruption, I'm going to have a lot of trouble handling the rest of his units. And I was really hoping for some more better dice rolls, to be honest with you.
Dice rolls are a theme I'm noticing in these post-game interviews.
Well, yeah, I mean, when my Havocs whiffed like about 3 turns in a row, I kind of was like, okay, this is not going my way.
So aside from rolling dice, any thoughts or takeaways, maybe something you would have approached differently, if you could have maybe settled a little bit and approached it from a different angle?
If I could approach it from a different angle, I would have tried to shoot out that grot screen a lot more and tried to go and save the rest of his units for my harder hitting things instead of getting my guys in there right away. But the initial strategy was to try and throw him off, but he's a good player, and he did not catch off guard with that.
Well, thanks, James, and you're probably the first person to ever call Caleb a good player. But we're gonna get Caleb over here right now. So thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll just grab Caleb.
All right.
Here he comes. He's been working out a lot, guys. You're gonna see these guns coming up. Now this is now hit your mark. Hit your mark. Left foot on the X. Jeez Louise. All right. So the legal counsel for Cash Money Hammer, Caleb here. First winner of the day.
Okay.
How does it feel?
I'm just glad to have one win. That's the answer.
So we're gonna try and look into the camera when we're talking, Caleb.
Okay.
Let's try and be professional. When I'm talking, you can look at me. Okay. It's like an illusion from television. I don't know if you've noticed. This is how they do it.
I didn't do a drama undergrad, so I don't know how to do this.
I did one in 7 years. Okay, so Caleb, coming into this matchup, you were drawn by me. For some reason, I had to make you run all the way over here. I just sort of came at you waving my arms. Not the best way to go into a game. What were you thinking sizing up this Chaos list?
So I'd already looked at his list, and he had a lot of Toughness 8, and Toughness 8 is actually a problem for me, which is, dumb to bring a list when there's not many knights around, but the Toughness 8 makes my Smasher guns way less useful, and so I just thought, well, I'm going to have to go for it and see. And then I found out while we were setting up that he was all Alpha Legion, so I also lose 50% of my shooting ability outside of 12 inches. So I'm just going to, see what happened, use the planes, because he didn't have a lot of things that could assault them. And so first turn took out his one thing that could really take out planes, and then they went around killing most of his firepower, and then I tried to fight up front with my guys.
Awesome. Now, one thing I'm sure the stream has really enjoyed about having you on the stream, aside from your facial hair, would be I would say, sort of like a stroke-inducing color scheme that you've gone with. Ed, you want to walk us through what inspired you to do this to yourself?
So it was a couple things. I've painted for a while. This is probably my better painted stuff, but I've found that, when you go out and you're trying to get painting points, you're trying to get awards, the flashier and the more bright it is, usually the better. And so I can't, paint stubble on somebody's face, so I just went as bright as I possibly could. And it's freebooters, so I feel like the bright kind of fits thematically, and the multicolored fits thematically as well.
Well, other people really like it. Caleb and I are in a number of group chats where I give him endless amounts of a word I'm not sure I can say. Poop, we'll say, about it. It is beautiful, I guess. Any final thoughts on this matchups?
Oh, it was great. He was a great opponent. He had a lot of luck that didn't go his way, and so he was really awesome to play against. It's always tough when things start collapsing, and so he did a really good job on that, and I just appreciate that. It's good to have a good game to start out.
Awesome. Thanks, Caleb. Caleb also works down on Bay Street with me, and can't wait for some of our, anyone to find us online doing this one day.
Goodness.
That would be amazing.
Can you blur my face?
Yeah, I don't think so. That's why I was wearing shades. Forgot to put them on. All right, so I think we'll kick it over to those chuckle buckets in the booth. Maybe. Rob took off his headset. He seems to be crying. He probably just read a new rule from Games Workshop. Over to you guys.
Hi.
Hello,
my
you
name's
sexual
Rob.
beasts.
This is the Falcon.
Caca!
The cameras had a thing, but that's fine. Listen, let me tell you, you did great.
Well, thanks, Rob. I've never done this before other than without anyone being able to see my face. So that helps when I can hide behind anonymity.
You're a
and
gorgeous man. Can we just get
Aw.
some love for him in the chat, please? Because you're a good-looking fella.
Well, thank
yeah,
you.
you're a cuddly bear. If I was so inclined, you'd be in
Well,
danger.
oh,
But
let me
more
call my
importantly,
wife.
the thing that really aroused me was your 40k acumen and tactical knowledge. You did excellent. Like I loved hearing you talk about it. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you because I couldn't do it without you. You keep me on track, keep me stuck in the lore and how the game's actually playing. Because otherwise, I would just start babbling numbers. It would get real weird. It'd be like Rain Man up here.
I wouldn't mind that at all. I like numbers. You guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, this is the first round. We're doing a bunch of new stuff this time around, so I hope you're enjoying it. We're going to try and just keep improving that. Val's obviously doing a great job too.
Yeah, Val's knocking it out of the park.
I want to say a big thank you to Dunstan and Caleb for being on the stream as well.
I'm really, really happy for them. They had a great game, super sportsmanlike. I feel bad for Dunster because, yes, there is definitely some nerves when you're on stream for the first time playing a game. And when you're up against an odd army like that, like Val said, stroke-inducing to look at, but gorgeous up close.
And
it can really
used
throw you off.
effectively.
Oh, and he played it very well.
Yeah, that Met gun charge was big.
I think Caleb played that game like peak level 40k.
Peak level. You've heard it right here. Round 1. He didn't even need to go to round 6. He hit it in round 1
Yeah,
peak level.
exactly. He was
Does that not mean it's down from here though?
I think so, but
That's
I
an
mean,
issue.
Dunster came into this game playing chess, and then Caleb was like, "Listen, you can't think just 2D, man. You got to think 3D,
Maybe
4D,
even 4D.
5D chess."
Wow, he was with orcs.
With
'Cause
orcs.
most people don't think that. Most people think brutal, but cunning too.
Yeah, cunning with a K.
Well, I'm excited to do more. In fact, I'm excited to do 5 games of coverage with you.
5 more games. We have
5
to do
more
6
games.
in total, my
Yeah,
friend.
we do, and it's gonna be a roller coaster ride. Join us as we go through coffee. Timbits, by the way, also
Gorgeous. So much sugar.
I've been to Tim Hortons now, and it was the best. And we're gonna bring you 5 more games. The event's wicked. You should join us for the coverage. I've got an amazing crew, and you're wonderful. Val's wonderful. So just join us, get in, and we're gonna talk about this more. But you'll see the schedule pop up soon for when the next round's gonna start.
Yep.
This is a competitive event. You've got the best player in the world here. You've got a bunch of other great dudes here. Apparently they're good. Are they good?
I would say, we do have probably 10 or 15 of the top 30 or 40 players in the ITC hanging out. There's a couple guys that are actually good from Canada, which is weird. Other than Jim Vessel, you wouldn't think that, but
So
we'll make it happen.
this is top tier. This is top tier coverage of a top tier event. Join us. We're going to come back with some jokes. Not mine, obviously, because none of you like them. The Falcon, Val, John, and also our table boss, Max Dubois. You've been awesome, and we'll see you soon. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.